Yo guys, have you been following a plan and feeling stuck and not making any progress? In this video, we're gonna break down plateaus, why they happen, how they happen, and how to overcome them. Let's go. Yo guys, by the way, my name is Armand James, and I'm an online fitness coach who helps people lose fat and build muscle and live a healthier lifestyle. I've been doing it for a very long time, 14 years to be exact. Let's break down this plateau thing because I've seen it a ton. Yo, let's break down what a plateau is. A plateau is when, let's say you are following a plan consistently for about 2 to 4 weeks and you haven't seen any progress visually throughout your measurements, throughout your strength, things like that. Here's the thing, plateaus, they are normal. They are going to happen. What it's really about is making the right adjustments based off of, where you're at and things like that. Plateaus are kind of like, let's say you're walking down a road and you're making some progress, you're making some huge strides, but all of a sudden things start to level out a bit. No big changes, but that doesn't mean that you're not moving in the right direction. Yo, let's go over how plateaus happen. So pretty much there's something called metabolic adaptation. This is when your body adapts to your calorie intake, your energy output, your exercise. The reason being is because your body, the main goal is to survive. So it wants to stay at the same place. It wants homeostasis. So what happens is if you've been training the same routine and you've been eating the same amount of calories for a while, your body becomes more efficient. So you burn fewer calories with the same amount of effort. So for example, let's say you've been losing fat for a period of time. Your body subconsciously is going to move around less. You're not going to want to move around as much. You're going to get hungrier, so you're going to want to eat more. That's because your body, again, wants to conserve as much energy as possible. It wants homeostasis. It wants to stay the same. Again, survival mode is the goal for your body. Another reason for a plateau is that there might be some inconsistency here. So for example, people, they under-report how many calories they've eaten and they over-report how many calories they burned. So let's say you're following a diet plan and you are randomly snacking here and there. Those calories do add up. So there might be some inconsistency here. That's the reason why you're not seeing any progress. So what I would do is I would pay close attention to what's going on. Am I randomly snacking? Am I actually, not reporting the right amount of calories I've eaten? Are my weekends, are they detailed? Or am I just going crazy and binging on foods? So I would pay attention to that. Is there some inconsistency with your plan and what you're doing? Another thing to keep in mind, just because your weight isn't changing doesn't mean that you're not making any progress. I would pay attention to your body composition, how you're feeling, how your energy level feels, how you're progressing just with your overall quality of life. Pay attention to that. Your weight doesn't dictate everything. So just because your weight isn't changing doesn't mean you're not making any progress, all right? Yo, let's go over some ways that you can break through these plateaus. One, you can start off with decreasing your calorie intake. So I would do a 10 to 20% reduction. I would start off with maybe 10% and then see how that goes and go from there. But by the way, this is why when I start my fat loss journey, this is why I start my calories as high as possible while still seeing progress. Because when I hit a plateau, which is normal and it's going to happen, this allows me to have a little bit more wiggle room to play with. So start off with that. If your calories aren't too low, by the way, start off with a decrease in your calorie intake, all right? All right, the next thing that you can do is you can increase your physical activity. So this means you're either adding an extra day of training or you're adding more cardio. And again, this is why I like, when I start my fat loss journey, this is why I like starting my activity level as low as possible while still seeing progress. Because I know when I hit a plateau, I'm able to have more wiggle room. I can increase my physical activity slowly without getting burnt out. So those are the two things that I would pay attention to is, can I decrease my calorie intake depending on what it looks like? And then can I increase my physical activity? Do I have room for those things? Or you're doing a combination of both. You can definitely do that. So those are the first two things I would pay attention to, and I'll go from there. Yo, another thing you can look into, carb cycling. And this is something that I personally use because it allows me to, give me a mental break from being too restrictive when it comes to carbs, okay? Because when you go through the process of losing fat, like the last thing that you want to decrease is your protein and your fat intake. So carbs is something that you can mess with. So I would do 5 days on low carb. Let's say, for example, you're doing 100 grams of carbs. I would do 5 days at 100 grams of carbs, and then the next 2 days or in between those days, I'm doing I'll double that carb intake. So I'll do 200 grams of carbs. So carb cycling, definitely something that you can look into. Yeah, I'm gonna give you a couple things here. Let's say that you've been dieting for a while now. You've been seeing great progress, but again, progress stalls a bit. Something that you could do is pay attention to a maintenance phase. This is a great time to just chill where you're at and try to hold your weight, your current look. That's something that you can look into. And another thing, and if you've been doing it for a really long time and you're feeling a little burnt out, a diet break. There's nothing wrong with a diet break, okay? But again, this is probably something that you'd only do for maybe a week, maybe 2 at most. But this is where you take a diet break, but you do not go YOLO, okay? You don't just go ham and binge on a bunch of food. You still pay attention to your habits, your behaviors, the structure within your meals, prioritizing high quality foods. You're just not as detailed and rigid possibly, right? So those are 2 things that you could look into. Maintenance phase, can you hold it? Building that skill. And then 2, just giving yourself a little break, nothing wrong with it. All right, the last thing that you can do is you can shift your focus. You can create a new goal, reevaluate your goals. Maybe there's something new that you want to jump into. We all go through seasons in our fitness journey. There's nothing wrong with it. Try something new, create a new goal, and go from there. But yes, plateaus, just a reminder, it happens. It's part of your fitness journey. You just got to make sure that you make the right adjustments based off of what you got going on. Context does matter. But hopefully you found this video helpful. If you want more fitness tips, if you need more help with anything, please like, comment, subscribe. I got you. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.